What is up, guys? Today we got Impulse here. We are on Nuketown right now in Modern Warfare 3. Pretty crazy, I know, right? But I wanted to talk to you guys about my favorite sci-fi series of all time. This book series is by someone named Alastair Reynolds, who you may be familiar with him for two different things. One is his Revelation Space series, which came out. I think the first book came out like sometime in the 90s, and essentially Mass Effect was greatly inspired by the series. A lot of the things that you probably like about Mass Effect, a lot of the cool lore shit, was kind of pulled right from the Revelation Space series. Now I'm not saying like Mass Effect's like just copying or that it's I'm not trying to talk shit about Mass Effect. However, a lot of the Mass Effect lore points did come from this Revelation Space series that did it first. The other series you may know him from is a TV show he's written on is Love, Death, and Robots. So a lot of the really good episodes and highly rated episodes were actually written by Alistair. Now the series I want to talk about today is called the Revenger series by Alastair Reynolds, and this is just like everything I look for in a sci-fi series. Now Alastair Reynolds, he was a PhD astrophysicist, so like a lot of his earlier books are amazing and have cool concepts, but they're slow. They're very technical. It's a very hard sci-fi, and in a lot of ways not approachable for kind of everyone. And I think he had this revelation with the Avenger series where it's like, hey man, you've came up with a really cool piece of technology. You came up with a really cool way of ship combat. You don't need to spend 13 pages going into how the propulsion systems work and things like that. And so Revenger is one of those series where it's very fast paced in a lot of ways, and then it can be slower paced at times. But it really it has trimmed a lot of the fat that I think some of his other series have. And I don't want to get too much into the spoilers for what actually happens in the series, but I more want to talk about what the universe is like in the Revenger series because I think it's very engaging. Now, in the Revenger series, it takes place in this massive, massive solar system. They describe it as a very old sun, so I'm guessing it's like one of those giant red suns. And in the solar system, there are quite literally millions of different planets. Now, there's millions of planets that are just normal, natural occurring planets, but then there's also these things called baubles, which are essentially man-made created planets. I kind of picture them as big Death Stars because a lot of them are created out of metal and are hard to get into. And these baubles are very interesting. They're ancient technology that humans don't really fully understand. But these baubles will open up. Now, some baubles will open up for 3 months and then close for 1,000 years. Some of these open up for 2 hours every Wednesday. Now, before I get more into what's inside the baubles, I want to kind of break down how the timeline of this universe works. Now, you'll hear this word called occupations, and I think they've said that there's like 40 different occupations, perhaps. I don't quote me on that. But essentially, an occupation is this. Humanity expands throughout this massive, massive solar system, populating planets, getting technology, things like that. And then for whatever reason, humanity is completely wiped back into the Stone Age. Now, they're still on different planets. However, all the information from the previous occupations are lost, and something is resetting humanity. And so what happens is in the next occupation, humanity becomes more developed again, and it starts to spread out through the solar system. But there's these ancient technology around the solar system from previous occupations that some of them they know how to work, but they don't know how to recreate it, which leads into the baubles, where baubles were created in a previous occupation, and a lot of them they kind of know how they work. Some of them they don't really know how they work, but they go inside these baubles to find ancient, like super advanced, almost magic technology. And in the meantime, not only do they have to worry about getting trapped inside these baubles, but some of these baubles have crazy death traps inside of them. You know, I don't want to spoil like too much, but there is some sick shit inside these baubles. So the story takes place with these two sisters who are essentially joined space pirates trying to hunt for technology inside these baubles to sell, which is super, super interesting to me. And I think it scratches that itch of sci-fi stories that have this grand mystery that they're slowly figuring out. Definitely, I'd recommend that series, especially if you like things like Dungeon Crawler Carl, Red Rising, Sun Eater, any of these super crazy sci-fi stories.